Another chicken soup, very assimilated across America. 1931, 43, 55, 67. We have chicken soups. We have a few in the back. You're a healer, nourishing all whom you encounter. We feel better just being in your presence. Mothers want to bring you home to meet their children. Resist this at all costs. So chicken soup, we made the chicken on Friday nights in Eastern Europe. We made the chicken soup to go along with it. The first and second generation would pretty much make it themselves. The third generation, you could get wonderful manischewitz, get a matzo ball mix. I grew up in the 60s, and I didn't have it so good. I had not the same. Jewish penicillin, it's all over the country. So in the 50s, it was the era of industrialization and mechanization, and also the era of the gentleman's agreement, if you're Jewish. We're trying so hard to get into the country club. We go from members of the tribe to members of the country club, and we see it reflected in our foods. We're assimilating as fast as our foods are assimilating. We don't have to go to the deli anymore. We can go to the supermarket in our suburb. And delis are dying all over New York. There's probably 5% of the delis left in New York than they were in the 30s. So you can go to the meat section and the dairy section of your local supermarket. You can get those foods. We have mass products being created. You don't have to go to the deli counter anymore. Now, this is a great little example. Gabila's Knishes. Who knows Gabila's Knishes? Yeah. Okay, this is their truck from 1915. And it says, "Ask for kosher." And kosher is written in Hebrew. I don't know if you can see it there. Okay? 15 years later, as they expand beyond the Jewish world, Gabila's Knishes, king of the potato pie. 15 years later, cocktail specialties. And then in the 60s, assorted cocktail specialties. And that logo, does that logo look like anybody else's logo?
Hebrew National.
Exactly. They were stealing it, basic design from Hebrew National, which also was making our deli foods, just making them smaller for the country clubs, like the pigs in the blanket. Everything was being shrink wrapped. Gabila's Knishes, even a latke that would make Martha Stewart proud. We had Levy's rye bread. Why does Buster Keaton look so sad? Because he's eating Levy's rye bread, and not bread you get from your local bakery with the cornmeal crust, the authentic, true article. Even Isaac Gellis, the name, the trademark, was bought by Mogan David, and then eventually bought by Conagra. It's not even being used. Most people don't even know who Isaac Gellis was. So you go to your local supermarket, and you can get shrink-wrapped pastrami like this, which is deli-icious. Doesn't it look deli-icious? Or you could go to your deli and get the genuine article, like here at Katz's in New York City, where they slice it by hand, where Meg Ryan had her orgasm. Was the pastrami. Now, an interesting true story. George McGovern, may he rest in peace, he passed away about a week ago. He's running for president in 1972 against Richard Nixon, the incumbent. And George McGovern is in New York City courting the Jewish vote. So he goes down to Katz's for the photo op, right? He's got photographers all around him. And in one hand, he's got an all-kosher hot dog, terrific. And in the other hand, to drink, he's got a glass of milk. Where was the Jewish staffer to put the Dr. Browns in his hand? I mean, even Richard Nixon knows when he reaches into his pocket and pulls out the enemies list filled with Jewish names on it. At the bottom it says, "Don't mix milk with meat." True story. Stage 4, the 4th generation, our generation, rediscovering deli. I think it begins in 1972 with this ad from Hebrew National. We answer to a higher authority. We're starting to reclaim our Judaism a little bit. We're starting to say, yeah, we're Jews, we're different, and it's good. And then in 1977, Annie Hall comes out. And everyone wants to be, it's so cool to be Jewish all of a sudden, in 1977. It's so cool to be a Nebuchadnezzar Jew. And then we've got other movies like Crossing the Lancey, which celebrates the old world wisdom of the pickle man. And of course, reaching its apex with Seinfeld, which is really a sitcom about 4 Jews in New York City. Now, Jerry Seinfeld is actually famous for popularizing a deli food. The black and white cookie. Yes, the black and white cookie. 1928, 40, 52, 64, 76. Who's a black and white? We got lots of black and whites. Okay. Kids love you, but make up your mind. Are you black or white? Cake or cookie? You say you're all new age, all yin and yang. We call it bipolar. So, Seinfeld has this episode where he's in the bakery. And he's talking about if only the races could get along as well as the black frosting and the white frosting. Becomes a very popular episode. And in fact, Canters Deli sells about 400 black and white cookies every day. Okay? They're also called half moons. Yes, they're called half. Who knew that? Are you from New England?
No, upstate New York.
Upstate New York. Yeah, upstate New York and New England. They call them half moons. Why do they call them half moons? I don't know. Okay. I don't know either. Maybe. I love going to Junior's in Grand Central, and actually, on the Upper East Side and online, William Greenberg Jr., you can get black and white cookies in any color you want. Okay, now though, I should mention the black and white cookie was not something we brought with us from Eastern Europe. But let's talk about Cantors a little bit. They were from New Jersey, and they moved out here to California, and their store opened up in Boyle Heights. That was their store. And you can see the deli is very small. It's essentially a counter and a couple tables. And that's what the delis were like even in New York at the beginning. There were so many of them. They were all very small. And then eventually, as the Jews moved from Boyle Heights to Fairfax, Cantors very wisely moved with them and eventually took over the movie theater. And one of the reasons why there's so few delis now is it's hard work. It takes an entire family to run a deli. And one of the reasons why is because there's so much food on the menu at a deli, and that's going to start changing. But think about it. Who goes to a Chinese restaurant to get a deli sandwich, to get a pastrami? Nobody. But why do we have Chinese chicken salad at the deli? Why do we have these foods? Maybe because Jews, we have to, God forbid someone should walk in and we don't have something that they want. But that's going to change. It's all changing. 2nd Avenue Deli, which is a kosher deli on 3rd Avenue, actually. You can read all about all the different delis in America in a great book. Oh, Zingerman's in Ann Arbor. You know Ann Arbor? Yeah, Zingerman. $25 million a year they do. Fantastic. Save the Deli, book by David Sachs. He wrote it about 2 years ago. He went all over the country, went to all the delis, rates all of them, and he didn't gain a pound. That's what he says. But there's a new wave of deli happening right now, and it's very exciting because one of the problems with delis is that they're stuck in this age of nostalgia. We go to a deli and we go, you know, this reminds me of being with my family, with my parents. Yeah, the food doesn't matter if the food's good or not. It's just the deli. It's fine. But there's a new wave, and that's bringing artistry back in the deli, like Mile End Deli. This is their takeout right here. They're in Bourne-Hill in Brooklyn. Great story. They've been in business 2 years. Noah Burnham is from Montreal. He remembers the Montreal-style delis that he had. He's in Brooklyn now. He's studying at law school, and he's smoking pastrami on the weekend. And one day he says, forget law school, I'm going to open up my own deli. And he calls it Mile End Deli for the famous Jewish district in Montreal. And it becomes hugely popular with the hipsters in Brooklyn. Now there's his wife, Ray, his partner in cholesterol. And it sort of harkens back to the old days. Couple tables, counter, and they're doing a very limited menu. They're doing the greatest hits, but they're doing them so well that you want to go there. They're smoking it all in-house. He slices pastrami like he's a diamond cutter. And you can get Montreal-style bagels there. This is what a bagel looked like at the turn of the century before we supersized it. Had a big hole, it was denser. And so this artisan movement is taking over the country. In Oakland, there's actually another place, Beauty's Bagel Shop, just opened 2 months ago. They're making Montreal-style bagels as well. Montreal-style bagels, they're denser, and they're dumped not in malt, but in honey water. So, I actually have never had one, but I'm dying to. So, maybe go to Oakland. And they're cooked in a wood-burning stove. This is what authenticity smells like and looks like. And this is where it's all headed. Sauls in Berkeley, another great deli that is doing interesting things. Karen and Peter. Peter was trained at Chez Panisse. This is right off the menu. Neiman Ranch pastrami. Think about this. Brisket cured in brine, then rubbed with garlic, paprika, coriander, and clove, then long smoked and steamed until tender. Reminding you that these foods are foods. They're a cuisine. They're not a commodity. They don't have Dr. Brown's, they make it all in-house. And now they have a new Sephardic chef for making Jewish foods that are not associated with deli per se, but like lamb meatballs with cumin and cinnamon and pine nuts on a bed of Israeli couscous. Okay? So we're redefining what the deli is. But it's all about returning to authenticity. Neil's Deli in Carborough, North Carolina, another example of this. He goes to the farmer's market 2 and 3 times a week to get all his fresh ingredients. Here at pastrami, this is probably how they ate pastrami back in Eastern Europe, because they had the pickled vegetables with it. Being more authentic returns everything back to the past. And as Jews, we're becoming more authentic too, so it all coincides. Kenny and Zook's Portland, Oregon. This is Kenny. Kenny has a barbecue restaurant. He starts smoking pastramis. Now he's got a deli. He does it all in-house. Even that sandwich looks pretty good to me. Even the bagels are done in-house. That's where it's all heading. No more meat manufacturers. Just bring it in and we'll just put it in the steam tank. And people seem to like it. We have the Canters Deli food truck here in Los Angeles with us today, waiting for us. Now, they're driving all over LA, bringing food to the masses, but it raises an interesting question. Is this a 21st century business? I have to say, the artwork on Canters was also the artwork used by same artist who did my artwork. So, very excited.